How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at KDE customization. Now, here we are on Fedora 43. I feel like this is basically the epitome of just a basic KDE layout, and we're going to take it from looking like this to like this. And now I think this is a dramatic transformation. It might not be that much work to get to this point, but the overall feel of the OS is just significantly more. So let's hop back here. Now, for the majority of this work here, we're going to be doing things in, say, the panel configuration and also the system settings. So first up, what I want to do is, since the background is going to be a major focal point of this whole design, I do want to go through our folder here. And I already have this downloaded. I'm just going to simply right click, set wallpaper as desktop, set wallpaper as lock screen. You could do both as well. I'm just so used to always hitting the two that I always just forget both even exist there. Perfect. Now that that is done, we can just hit the system settings. If that isn't there, feel free to just type in system. You should find it there, or you can just navigate the menu and find it just navigating through there. All right, so since this is gonna flashbang us right away, we're just gonna click on Breeze Dark and apply. That will just give us a nice dark theme just to begin with, so we don't hurt our eyes as we continue to modify this look. Now, on the left-hand screen, you are going to look all the way down to appearance and style. Then we want color and themes. We'll go ahead and click that. Now, do note that once you click on this, you will see global theme again, and you can hit Breeze Dark at this point other than the quick settings we were in. Does the exact same thing, gets you to a dark mode a little bit faster. But we're going to continue on down to colors. Now that we're on colors, we're actually not going to do a whole lot. Like, I like the Breeze Dark. If you have a different type of color you want, you can always go up here and get new and go through this and just kind of find something that looks a little bit more to your liking. But I like the Breeze Dark. The only thing that I might change on this is actually the accent color. And as we see, as we click here, it's going to change the coloring of what it is. But since my wallpaper is blue, I'm going to keep it blue. And as soon as you find the color you like, be sure to hit apply. Moving on to application style. Again, I'm going to keep this on Breeze. If you have something else that you want to use, feel free to change it here. Now, clicking on Plasma style, I am going to keep this the same on Breeze as well. Now, a lot of you might have different colorings or different options that you like to choose here. And like I said, this is going to be a simple guide. We're not doing something crazy advanced. All we are is taking the stock KDE and making it just a little bit nicer to look at. Continuing on, we're going to go to Windows decoration. Now, this is going to be the first setting we really actually change, because I don't really like Breeze. I'm going to go ahead and hit get new. It may take a second to populate for yourself, but in the search bar, I am going to type in Mo. Now, we saw it right there for a second, but what I'm looking for is Mo Dark. Now, this is just a personal choice. If you guys like something else, feel free to install it there. Click on the pictures, see what it looks like. Does that fit your aesthetic the way you want it to, like mine will? Now, once you've installed it, we can just simply click it and make sure to hit apply. Now I have the 3 dots similar to a Mac style, but I also like the coloring behind it. Moving on to icons here, now we have Breeze and Breeze Dark. Again, I'm going to go find something a little bit different. Now, once those have finally loaded up, now I'm going to type in Tela Circle Black. It's actually going to be the Tela Circle icon theme. I'm going to hit install, and then I'm going to find black and hit install here. We're going to wait for this to finish working, and then we can close out of this. And then you can see we have black, black light, and black dark. I'm just going to type in black dark and hit apply. That's going to change our icons to more of a circle instead of like a square or different associating icons. I like the uniformity behind it. Moving on to cursors. Now, you probably know if you've seen previous videos from me of what I'm going to go to, but I am going to go hit get new, and we're going to search for Volantes cursors. Now, I'm going to hit install. And then the one I actually want is the light. So I'll hit install here. And again, once it's done working, close the window out, and we can select it, and we'll hit apply. And I like that like little weird arrow shape. I don't know why. I do it on Windows. I do it on Linux. I just really like that type of mouse cursor. Again, there is a whole bunch in there that you guys can choose from. Moving on to system sounds. Now, by default, it does like to do ocean. We can see that. The other one is free desktop. Now, I personally enjoy free desktop. I feel like it's not as sharp, so I'm going to apply that one. Next up is going to be our splash screen. Now, this is going to be just before it loads up into the desktop itself, so you don't really see it too much. But since we kind of have a cat theme going on, we're going to go with Kudo the cat. We'll hit install. We'll exit out again, and we'll just hit that. Now, if you want to see what it looks like, you can kind of see that it just kind of moves around, just a little bit different than the basic default Breeze or Fedora, or whichever one that you've launched into KDE on. And then lastly is the login screen. Now you can go in here and actually click change the background, load from file. I can simply click this again and hit apply. It will ask for the password and we'll hit OK. And that's just another way to use your wallpaper as a lock screen. Now, I've seen where right-clicking and setting it to the lock screen doesn't always work, and you actually have to go into the login screen here setting and set it that way. So I just tend to do both when I'm doing a new customization. Next up is going to be text and fonts. Now, if you want something different, I know a lot of people actually really enjoy the JetBrains text, so I can just open up Terminal. Again, this is on Fedora, so things like Fedora or Nabara, this command will work. It's sudo dnf install JetBrains mono fonts. We'll go ahead and just hit enter. We'll type in our password. We'll let that run for just a second until it's complete. We'll make sure to hit yes, that is okay. And there it's complete. We'll just clear that out, exit out. So now that that's complete, you would have to log out and log back in to see that text, but you would be able to hit this little icon here and then scroll through and kind of find that text of which one you want to use. Now, I'm not going to do that for this video, but if that's the route you want to go with a different text theme, I think Noto is fine, honestly. It looks good enough for me, so I'm not going to worry about anything else. Now that we're done with that, I'm just going to simply close out of this. All right, so next up is going to be to fix this taskbar here. And a lot of requests from a previous video I did was to have the taskbar up top, similar to a Mac style, while retaining another one at the bottom. So that's the approach we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and hit add or manage widgets, and there's a few widgets that we want to install, so we're going to go ahead and up here hit get new and download new Plasma widgets. That's the one we want. Again, going to take a second to just load all those in, which is totally fine. And from our beginning area here, we're probably going to see a majority of the ones we want, but we want Andromeda Launcher. Now, this is a personal choice. You guys may not like this one. There is a significant amount of other options out there, but you'll at least learn how to change this out if that's the approach you want to take. Next up is the panel colorizer. We'll go ahead and hit install. And while they do show like still to click install, a lot of times they are installed after you've clicked it once. We can go ahead and hit KDE Modern Clock, and then we're going to start searching for a couple different things. So we're going to start searching for Catwalk, since we're kind of doing a weird cat theme. It's not super cat related, but you know, we have a little bit of a background with cats, so might as well just emphasize on that. So that should be installed, and we'll verify all this here in just a second because we only have one more item we want to do. Now that it's kind of reloaded as I type, you can see the green boxes up in the upper left corner. That does mean that they are installed. So I can already tell that, you know, even though it's kept saying install, it was already installed. So the last one we want is Plas Music Toolbar. Let's see here. That's why it didn't come up initially, because it's Plas Music dash toolbar. So we'll just type in Plas Music. We can click on it, hit install. This is another view that you can see, and it usually updates fairly quickly to let you know if it installed. So if you click on the application into this screen, it will typically update that a little bit faster. So that's all the programs that we want to install. So we'll go ahead and close out of this. And now we can hit add or manage widgets, and we should see everything that we download. Now we're not going to do anything with them just yet, but we want to just have that prepped and ready to go. All right, so up next, what we're going to be doing here is actually right-clicking here, show panel configuration. And then we want to add a panel. Now I'm going to do default panel. and it should add it straight to the top, which is exactly what we want. Now for that bottom panel, we'll just do show panel configuration. We click on it, and we're going to start to remove some items here. So the application launcher, since we're going to have it at the top left, we don't need it down here. Pager, again, remove. The icons only task manager is the only thing we want at the bottom. So we're going to leave that one alone and then move over here, and we're going to remove the system tray. We're going to remove the digital clock, and we're going to remove peek at desktop. And that should be almost everything. We'll remove the margin separator, remove the system tray, and just kind of go over and make sure you got everything you don't want on there. And now that's going to block your screen with a million notifications, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. We'll exit out of that. Up next, we're going to lower the panel height a little bit. I typically like about, 36, but I know a majority of you might not enjoy that, so I'm going to put it at 40 for the sake of this video. As for floating, we're going to disable that. Moving on to width, we're just going to hit fit content. Now that's almost perfect here. The one thing I will add though, if you want additional space, like just off to the edges here, you can hit add new and spacer, hover over and hit flexible size. And you could do something like maybe 10. And then we could do another one, add spacer onto the other side, uncheck, and again, add maybe 10. And that'll just give you just a little bit of space on either side. Some people enjoy that, some people don't, but I want to give you guys the option. So that's a majority of the bottom completed. There is one more thing that we'll do, but let's configure the top a little bit more here. So for the top bar, we're just going to hit show panel configuration. And now we're going to configure this. So I'm going to remove the icons only task manager because we don't need that. After that, I'm going to remove pager because I don't really use that either. And then I'm going to add 2 spacers here. So we have 2 spacers. One's going to go right here, and we're just going to move that stuff around. And the other is actually going to go right next to it. So we're going to have these 2 kind of in the middle. I am going to keep them as flexible size because we want them to actually adjust here, and I will show you why shortly. Next up, we can cover over here, margin separator. If you want it there, by all means, keep it. If not, you can remove it there. But for the floating panel here, we're going to disable that. Again, I'm going to lower the panel height on this one because I feel like it's less important than the bottom one. So typically I run about 30 on this one, whereas I might run 34 maybe on the bottom. Up next, we're going to hover over system tray and we're going to configure that one. And for configuring the system tray, basically you just kind of want to go in through here. What buttons do you want to have easy access to? So things like notifications, I might not care about, so I'll just kind of scroll through until you find notifications. It's going to say show when relevant, but maybe I just want to show it only in pop-up, and that'll make it go away here. So I'm going to go and sift through this here real quick and find what I want and what I don't want, and then I'll get back to you when I'm completed. All right, so that looks a little bit better. Now that I've exited out, I'm going to again go into show panel configuration. I am going to remove the peek at desktop. You can use the shortcuts to do that. And then next up is going to be the digital clock. Now I'm going to hover over and hit configure. Now you can completely remove the clock here. I'm just going to show it with the clock and then also on the wallpaper clock as well, but I just wanted to show both. So from here you can hit adaptive location. There's a whole bunch of different changes here, but what we're going to do is the text display. We're going to hit it to manual. We're going to hit apply. Then we're going to choose a style. Now this is where you would maybe want a different font. Maybe you want different size. Maybe you want this just slightly bigger, like at an 8 or something like that. I don't really want bold, or I just want regular. I don't want italicized. So we can do something like that. Now, and next is if you want it combined like this on top of each other, by all means you can. You can also do it besides the times, so it's a little bit bigger there. That's typically how I like to do it. I feel like when I have this small toolbar at the top, I like to have it, spread out just so it's easier to read. So that's just going to be me, but I'm going to hit OK. I'm not the biggest fan on the text type, but, this is just for the sake of the video. Doesn't look like there's anything else that might be crazy good here. We'll leave that alone. We'll call that good. We still have our menu here with a lot of different options, but they're now hidden. The one important one I feel like is going to be the volume because I feel like you guys are going to use that the most. Once you're completed with all your digital clock settings, we'll hit OK. Again, right click, show panel configuration. Next up is when we're going to actually start to put in the widgets. So I'm going to hit add or manage widgets. So first up is going to be the Plasma Music toolbar. We're going to head and put that straight in the center in between those two spacers. Next is going to be the panel colorizer. So I'm going to put that over here. You will see that we can actually hide the widget eventually, but we want to be able to click on the widget easily first. But while we put it at the top, we're also going to want to put it on the bottom as well. And then lastly, we can throw the modern digital clock over here. We'll just simply put it maybe up here. We can hit the little cog here and we can just change our colors. Now we could probably do something of like this if we wanted, just a little bit more of a subtle color. We could continue to just play around with these colors, and you could do all of these. So we could easily just right click. If you want to just copy the same color, just do that. Go into the font color, hit paste, hit OK, apply. And that's kind of how you would do that, almost like a subtle thing that just kind of drifts into the background. You don't really notice it unless you really are looking for it. And if you need to kind of move it around or adjust the settings, right click that for configuring, hit enter mode, and then that allows you to kind of move it around as well. So if it's somewhere, maybe like it's on this light or the star right here and you just don't like that, you can hit exit mode and again, kind of see it from there. So we're getting a lot closer to where we want to be. We're not quite there yet, but we're almost. Again, we're just going to customize, and next we're going to configure the Plasma Music toolbar. First up is going to be the panel view. Now, I would recommend while we have this screen open, we're actually going to open up a web page, and it's going to make things a little bit easier for us. So we're going to go straight to YouTube, and I'm just going to find some sort of 10-hour music going on here. Sure. 10 hours of rain. Oh God, the ads are so loud. We'll go ahead and skip that ad there. And we're going to see that it's up here at the top scrolling, and we can actually pause and play the music at will, which is super, super handy. But first, what we want to do is go into the panel view, and we're going to hit disable show icon. Now, I don't like this icon right there, so that's why I do that. Again, you can also go through if you don't want to see the text and you just want the play, pause, skips, controls in the middle. You could do that. So you could do something like this. So you just have those controls whenever you're playing music. I want to show the text at least. All right. So now that that's scrolling, say you want to see everything. You don't like the way this scrolls. You just want to see whatever the whole media is. You can actually hit fill available space in panel, hit apply. And that's going to do that. It will stop scrolling. It still won't show you 100% of everything it is, even though scrolling is enabled, which is just kind of odd. I'm not sure if that's meant to be. I don't know if we can turn on mouse over. Nope, you can't. But I do like having it just the full information here. That's something that I really enjoy. The only other option that I actually play around with here, other than maybe if you want to adjust the text or anything like that, is scrolling all the way down and hitting media progress. Now that will actually give you like a background. We'll simply just skip through here a little bit. You can see how it has like a highlight of how long the song is. Now, sometimes I'll play around with the background radius just a little bit. Honestly, for the most part, I just leave it alone. I just enable it and I call it good. And we'll just close out of this. Boom, it goes away because we have those fixed spacers that will just refill in once there's nothing there. All right, so once more, we're going to go to show panel configuration. Now we're going to go over and hit panel colorizer. Now here we can hide the widget now and then hit config panel colorizer. And what this is allowing us to do is actually change the colors. Now this goes way deeper than I am going to go in this video. I am simply going to just choose presets off of this. You can go very deep with this. This gets very, very customizable. I will just show you a few quick examples. We can have ones that are like multicolor, We can have ones that are lighter colored. It really is up to you. Now, what I'm going to typically choose is something like just a straight black because I feel like I like it a little bit darker. You could also do like color lines under each section. The only downside is the way we have the spacers actually is going to always show two different colors. That's typically why I don't do something like this where it has like the ovals around each part. It's just a little annoying is all. We're gonna just simply load up the black, which is fine. You could go into the appearance and kind of adjust it if you want different colors, different shadows, different transparency. Again, I'm not gonna go that deep into this tool. Maybe at a different point, we'll go deeper into that, but we're just gonna leave it black because I think that looks good. After we're done, simply hit OK, but do make sure that you do hit apply. Now, lastly, we want to hide the widget, which for some reason isn't hiding the widget. There we go. Just needed to re-click it one more time. Now, down here, again, we're going to hit color config panel colorizer. So I'm just going to hit black and hit load and hit apply. But one thing we can do down here, since we don't have the breaks of the spacers, or if we wanted to remove those side spacers. So one thing we could do is maybe do something like an ellipse. It would actually put this like rounded edge on it, which I think is pretty cool. And to fix this, to make it look better, we'll just hit OK. We'll right click, hide widget. Then we'll right click, show panel configuration. We'll delete these spacers. Again, these spacers are going to always show up if we have them. And then we can hit exit mode. And there we go. We have like this like floating little tiny dock. If you want it bigger, again, show panel customization. We could change this up to something maybe like 60. And well, everything's getting a little funky there. So that's good that we're showing this right now. Show panel configuration. Now, for some reason, my widget disappeared. So what I'll do is just go ahead and hit add widget again. I'm going to just drag it down here because I think I accidentally exited out of that instead of the actual spacer itself early on. Again, panel, we're going to scroll down to Eclipse, hit load, hit OK. So it seems like things might have gotten a little screwed up. So what I'm going to do is just log out. And it's good I'm showing this to you guys because things can happen, honestly. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and log out and relog back in. And hopefully we'll see something correct as it reloads the desktop back in. All right, so we're just simply going to relog back in here. All right, so we'll right click again, configure panel colorizer here, and we'll scroll down to, we wanted Eclipse. We'll hit apply. Then we're going to right click and hide the widget, and there we go. That's just one simple little troubleshooting thing that might happen to you guys. If it does, simply just log out, log back in, and your desktop will reload, and sometimes it'll just correct issues like that. I think we're almost in a great place. One other thing we're still missing, we're just going to go ahead and hit add or manage widgets, and we have catwalk. Now I'm going to click and drag catwalk up here, and there we go. So that actually shows us our total CPU usage, and it's just a little bouncing cat. Now, additionally, we did download Andromeda. So if we hit the Windows key, it just shows up here like our normal thing would down below. It is now at the top of the screen. But if we wanted something else, we could hit show alternatives. We could select Andromeda launcher. And here we have a little bit slightly different. I feel like this gives more of like a Windows 11 vibe. It also has a large search bar. You can go into all apps. It's personal choice. There's a countless amounts of different launchers that you can use. One thing I would do here is configure the Andromeda, and I want to change the icon. Now, I already have a couple icons here. I'm going to hit browse. We're just going to go to downloads, and I'm going to hit this white one, hit apply. Since we have that cat theme going on, it's not going to be the largest, but it just kind of sits there. Again, if you don't like that and you're like, the alternative, the launcher or whatever, show alternatives, application menu. If you want something a little bit more simple, show alternatives, and you can change it back to the default if you want. You can play around with it very, very easily, very, very quickly. No real stress or worry that things are going to get broken. Last thing I usually do is go into the console. Once I'm in the console, I like to right click, create new profile. Then I'm going to go down to appearance, and you can hit get new. I'm going to do something like, I'm going to go down here to suite, and it's suite console KDE. Hit install. Now that it's installed, we should see something like Sweet Amber Blue. I'm gonna hit that, hit OK. Now you'll see that my console now is slightly transparent with also this green coloring. Now, if we go in here and we can actually hit edit. Now, if we want to change out this green to something else, like say we want that blue, we just double click that color and we could just type in whatever color number if we knew that, or we could just type, just select a color from here and then we'll just hit OK. And there we go. We'll hit OK again. And you can see that we're typing in white, but our name and stuff like that is in that blue, and it kind of just matches the overall theme. I don't go crazy in the console. Again, it's another program where you can go in there and adjust things to your heart's content. You can get super intricate with it if you really want to. I just typically change this coloring to just kind of match my background. And that's it, guys. That's all there is to the KDE customization. We've transformed it from something a little bit too simple to, I think, a little bit more unique. Nothing overly complex, but I feel like it fits my aesthetic a little bit better. I just like looking at it overall. If you felt like this video helped you, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next one.